guys, we've got Joe Ray here with TierZero Games. This is top 4 Huddersfield regional deck profile. Joe Ray, what did you play today?
Hi everyone. I top forward the Huddersfield Regional. We had 110 players approximately, so it's a 7-round event. I went 6-1, made fourth place. In terms of matchups, I played against 4 Snake Eyes, 1 Sword Soul, a Pendulum, and a Branded Mirror. And I lost with one of the Snake Eyes, who was the eventual winner of the event. So we're playing 42 cards in the main deck. Really like the list for the main. There's a couple of cards in the extra side I want to experiment with changing. But unless the format changes too much, not much is going to change here. So we played, most of this is standard, to be honest. The main isn't too spicy. So we played 3 Aluva and 3 Tragedy, 1 Ad-Lib and 1 Quem. So the triple tragedy or multiple tragedy with Allure is becoming more common. Droll sort of exited the format quite a bit, so you can afford to get away with being a bit greedy with this sort of thing. And it sort of helps when you're playing go second, because you just get to draw this hand advantage, get the search off this, and start going second with 7 cards in hand. So you're really going to Snake Eye with that. And then we're still on Ad-Lib. I still maintain it's one of the best things the deck can be doing, and I think it's worth the brick spot. So some Despias, then we are playing the Free Fallen of Albaz. We're playing the 2 Cartesia and playing the Triple Albion. This is another trend that's sort of been going around recently, which is playing multiple Albion. So again, there's less droll, so you can afford to do this. I'm also playing stuff in the extra that you can use this as kind of like a generic fusion material with. It didn't come up, but I like the idea of it. I'm also playing multiple Branded and Reds, which is where this card shines as well, because you get to set this up into the grave, so you can dodge imperms, veilers, that sort of thing, when you're trying to make your plays. And then we're playing the 2 Bestials, just the ones that are necessary to enable certain lines in the deck. And then we are playing the Mercuria, and we're playing the Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. So we are maining this. Same as Ad Libitum. It's one of the best things that the deck does. It's what makes the deck so unfair at the minute. Undoubtedly, it's the Albion is going to end up getting banned, I think. If they just hit this, we're just going to play a different target, unfortunately. So it's a bit sad. That's kind of the way the deck has devolved into. I was tempted to play this in the sides and just side it for going second into things like the Snake Eyes. But actually, I just wanted my game 1s to be sort of unlosable. And there's some hands you can only do so much, so you don't necessarily have to set this up just for the fear of it failing. You set up other boards involving Mirror Jades and Rin Broms and stuff like that that have a better chance of being a bit more resilient. So that's all the monsters in the main deck. And then for the spells, so as mentioned, we're playing Allure. So we're playing triple. We're playing the 3 Branded Openings, 3 of the best card of the deck, Fusion Deployment, 3 of the second best card of the deck, Branded Fusion. Then we are playing double Branded in red and the Branded Lost. That rounds up the spells. I didn't want to play triple Branded in red. I think that's a bit excessive, but the second one was huge. Being able to play it on my turn and then set it off with an Albion was really nice, and not having to use that Retribution to reset it by adding it back and setting it again. So really enjoyed that. And then the main deck traps and non-engine, so we're on the Retribution. We are on the Banishment, so with there being more Branded Mirrors, this card just gets a bit stronger. Again, I'm playing a card in the extra where this can come up as a really interesting Super Poly kind of like target. And you can set it off for the Frost as well. So we are obviously playing Frost and Talents, and then the Duplication is the target to set off Frost, as these are my only non-engine in the deck. The deck is incredibly good at playing through boards, even if you get ashed on your Branded Fusion. So yeah, that's the main deck. We're on 42. And then we'll just go over the extra, because there's not too much sort of particularly different here. So on the double Mirror Jades, double Albion, 1 Rebellion. The rest of the Albaz Dragons is a Rinbrom, a Titan, and an Albion. One of the things this is useful for as well is playing around evenly, but that didn't come up today. But obviously you're playing this with the Gimmick Clock. You can get really creative with this card, it's kind of cool. like using this to like steal targets out of grave when people go to like something to reborn, for example. So there's that. Still think I pulled off the grave effect of this once. And then the sort of the Despia fusions, so we're playing the YuGiOh, we are playing Queritus, Proskinion, and the Masquerade. So quite a few of my games ended where I deal about sort of 6,000, sort of 5, 6, 7,000 damage, and then just making a Masquerade and telling my opponent, well, you have 3 effects of cards to be able to out my board, and then they can't do it. So 100% wanted to play this card, I'm glad I did. The Proskinion, I just really like this card, I think it's really cool. People are starting to learn what this card does, especially at the beginning of Fire format. People were talking about playing this into the Snake Eye decks for when you get Promethean Princess. I stole a Chen Ying off of it, which was pretty cool. And I'm only on the one YuGiOh just to make space for other stuff, but it's not very often I find that I want the second anyway. And the last 3, so we got the Pradaplan and the Guardian Chimera, and then the last card is the Mysterion. So it's quite a generic fusion to make. It's just a dragon and a spellcaster, and essentially the effect of this is if your opponent uses the activated effect of a monster to summon a monster, you can activate this on the summon and you banish all monsters with that same type. I messed up the wording a little bit, but essentially what this is for is when your opponent goes normal Snake Eye Ash, and then they add the Poplar and they use the Poplar effect to special, you'll chain like your Cartesia and you'll make this using your Cartesia and say an Albion that's maybe on board, or a Lubellion that left on board because you went for like a different line and didn't recycle, or you're using, say, your main deck Lubellion when you do the Lost line, and you're making this. Then on the special, they'll go Chainlink 1 Poplar to search, and you'll go Chainlink 2 Mysterion, and that's going to banish the Poplar and the Ash. It didn't end up actually coming up. I really like the theory of it. It's something I'm probably going to keep playing because the fusion material requirements for this is so generic that it will come up at some point. It's also, the fusion material requirements are so generic that it's going to come up for branded banishment as well. So you can summon a dragon from your grave and then fuse with, let's say, a branded player's board, which is quite nice. And then the last thing is the side deck. So I'm just going to talk about the best card first. By far, the best card in the side deck was Mistaken Arrest. So I wanted a go first card into lots of decks where I didn't lose to Cosmic Cyclone or to a Crossout Designator. So Summon Limit was out of the question. I did consider playing the There Can Be Only One and then 2 of this card, and I was convinced off it by one of my teammates, and I absolutely agree with him now. This card put in so much effort over the course of the day, shot down Snake Eyes like nobody's business. Also, like, really good against like stuff like Flu, because the effect lasts until the end of your next turn. You could potentially lock them out of like 3 turns of searching if you play this in your turn 1. So you play this in your turn 1, they can't search. Or sorry, maybe not your turn 1, but if you're going second, right? You play this when you're going second into them. They can't resolve any of their little birds, then they can't do it on their turn, and then it lasts until the end of your next turn, so you get a 3rd turn out of this card. It didn't come up, I really wish it had. Then we are playing the Triple Phantasme. It's one of the few cards aside into the Snake Eye deck. You're just trying to sculpt your hand to be as broken as possible before you like your power cards, and then you play into their board. They don't put anything like that egregious that you can't break through. The only worry really is like the potential floodgate set. Then we're playing Bestials. So I wanted to play a good number of Bestials because of Voiceless Voice and the Mirror. So a lot of people are just on like, say, Magna and a couple of Druids, but I wanted the extra name. And given them on 42, I've got a pretty good shot at seeing it. We're also putting the Magnum up into the Snake Eye matchup, and if we see the Bestials to hit the IP, then we're great. The last few cards is we're playing the back row removal cards. My event could have gone one way or another, depending on whether I play against back row decks that were just going to try and flood me the whole game. The stun deck is around quite a bit at the minute, and I might well want Cosmics for that. So these might change a little bit, just so I have something chainable. Fortunately, with people being on mostly summon limit, you're not getting flooded by anti-spell quite as much. And the last 2 cards in the side are just 2 cards for the Frost 2 set when you're going first. So I'm playing Different Dimension Ground for things like Snake Eye and other decks it might cover. And then the Dimensional Barrier, again, because I'm respecting the mirror. And then things like, I don't know, like Pendulum, sort of like combo decks like that. Like, I don't know, I played a Sword Soul today, I played a Pendulum. So it obviously bodied the Pendulum deck, because you just call Pendulum, the whole deck doesn't function. So yeah, that's this. Like I said, I don't think I changed too much. This card kind of underperformed, but maybe that's just because of how well this card performed. So it's probably fine to stay in. So that's it. Shout out to the rest of the team, especially to all the guys that were sort of testing with us throughout the week, especially the Friday night lot. Also please use Fuse5 at checkout and TierZero.com for 5% off at checkout. So yeah, take care. Bye.